The Bernheimer galleries have been there since 1864. And so I'm fourth generation, and the Bernheimer tradition is quite a long and very good one. We have here a very nice painting by Alexis Joseph Perignon, a great portrait painter who worked in the first half of the 19th century in Paris. If you want to have a very good view of Venice, somewhere in between Canaletto and William Turner, then you should go to Friedrich Nerli.
Dilmos is, for us, is a concept. So it's a new wave of make furniture, because we try to work with young designer, we try to promote unknown designer, and we try to produce something different between art and design, but more design than art, or in other case, functional art.
I like to think that Melanesia and South Pacific art, including Australian Aboriginal, is more spiritual and above the earth. Where I think of African art as being grounded, and the work and the art is more used perhaps more widely within the village than the other areas.
I believe that China is the dominant reality for all of us for the rest of history. And Chinese civilization has interested me very much, ancient civilization. And now I think what is happening in China in the contemporary world, the contemporary Chinese culture, is very similar to what was happening in the beginning of the 20th century in Europe, namely artists and musicians and filmmakers and theatre directors trying to create a new language, just as people at the beginning of the 20th century in Europe were trying to express a new reality at the end of the 19th century. So you had people like Cézanne finding a new pictorial language. You had Stravinsky trying to develop a new atonal musical language. And I think the same is happening in China today. So it's a very creative moment in Chinese history.
My family is very long for about 200 years and more in antiques dealer. My grandfather was the antiques dealer private of the king in Torino, the Savoia. And we have the feet and the roots in the DNA of our family that all from 200 years and more, all family and the next family is in the art.
We have everything basically from perhaps the Viking period right through to the middle of the 19th century. And more today, I'm dealing in much more armour, many more suits of armour, more swords, more daggers than actually firearms per se.
My way of collecting is this kind of spiritual life of objects who have a lot of peace and universal knowledge, who are timeless, who are always contemporary, even when they're 4,000 years old. And those I collect.
Ettore Sottsass was very young when he started working in Olivetti offices, and he was the artistic director of Olivetti for a very long time. Today, opportunities like this are very, very hard to find.
Selling stones in minimal settings. And so all the money's gone into the stones, and that's an expression of the fact that we're simply not as wealthy as our predecessors, because the people that bought from Fabergé, the people that bought from Cartier, from Mauboussin, La Cloche, there was no concept of resale or investment. They were simply spending their money. Now people buy things, and there's a very subtle distinction between that. They buy them because they've always got in the back of their mind that they would like to preserve their money by doing so. our antecedents spent the money. They went there with pure joy, like buying a hat.
And just up to the right here, we have an intriguing vanitas still life. Vanitas because what it's doing is pointing out the vanity of human life. It's all about life being brief, if you like, and art being long.